Let's check in on some of the final scores across the league tonight. The Avs were looking to steal 2 points against the Predators. Colorado too much to handle on this night, and they pick up the win. Hey, a few more hot-button issues we got to get to. It's a jam-packed show tonight. Stick around. You know, I want to bring it back to him for just a second here. When you look at trying to project who's going to win what awards this season, I'll say this. I think you're looking at the leading candidate for the Lady Byng Award. You know, most gentlemanly player. And it's not to suggest he's soft. He plays hard. He competes. He's not dirty. Goes out there and delivers. Right? That's a guy you can trust out there. I think that's why he's earned a lot of respect from his teammates as well. But I think if I'm going to pencil in a winner right now, I'm going to lean towards him to claim the Lady Byng Award. All right, we'll take some of your predictions. Phones are wide open right now. Well, let's take a look at how the standings were impacted with some of the final scores around the league tonight. The Canucks had a tall order to fill as they tried to take two on the road against the Stars. Dallas proves to be too much to handle in this one as they find a way to pick up the OT win. The Blues were on the road up against the Blackhawks. St. Louis triumphs in this one thanks to a complete effort at all ends of the ice. The Oilers were hoping to come up with 2 points on the road against the Flames. Calgary pulled this one out. It went to a shootout, but they get the win. Lots more still to come, including the story in MMA, the hardwood, and more. Stay with us. Well, some fun, some drama, a little bit of everything on the ice tonight. Let's take a look at some of those scores around the league. The Flyers were hoping to fly high on the road against the Kings. Philadelphia terrorizes the opposition with a big goal-scoring night in the win. The Kraken played on the road against the Capitals. Seattle played their best in overtime, and they get the 2 points. The Canucks were hoping their offense would show up in a big way against the Jets. Vancouver tramples their opponents with a big offensive night. A very special guest drops by on the show, and we'll do that next. I think we can all agree. We like how he plays. We like the skill set. But you have got to play with a little more fire, a little more compete. You gotta turn that care meter up. Like, find that dial that goes to 11, 11, 11, 11, 11. Turn it up, crank that sucker up. And I think that's exactly the message that the coaching staff has been trying to preach. The skill's there, the talent's there. But man, it is frustrating to watch when it doesn't come together on a regular basis. Back to the phones we go. We got Pedram on line 4. those were pretty pointed comments from the coaching staff to say, hey, look, you need to tighten it up on the ice. You are way too undisciplined out there. We've tried to talk to you about this, and you're not getting the message. I don't know what's next, but I would think that maybe some playing time that could be shaved if you're not going to listen to what the coaching staff's telling you. But look, too many reckless penalties. It's hurting the team. But I thought it was pretty public from the coach's sentiment there, from those comments, that he needs to tighten it up. All right, meantime, some other interesting comments around the NHL here. You know, and I think one of the other storylines to me that I'm intrigued by is, you know, you look at what we've seen from him, and yes, we all know he's a talented player, but can he win? Can he win the Stanley Cup? And I think that question needs to be asked now because, you know, he's been in the league for more than a half a decade. I like what he said this week, that he's all in, that he is ready to be in it to win it. You know, I think he's going to need his teammates to be in that same mindset as well, right? I mean, he can only control what he can control, but let's see if there's a different player out there on the ice this year because, you know, I think there's a lot of talent there, but I think a lot of people have kind of seen, like, can he break on through to be great, right? There's very good, and then there's great. And I think we're waiting to see if he can make that jump and win the Stanley Cup. All right, to the phones we go. Matthew is on line 4. You know, and the whole narrative and the expression being good in the room, right? You know, chemistry is important with a team. You know, how many times have we seen teams that are absolutely stacked with talent and they fall apart? Why? Because there was just a disconnect within the room. And I know with some reporters and some of the media members asking the kid, saying, hey, you know what, how do you endear yourself to teammates more? I don't know if there's ever really an answer. I mean, you can go out and, you know, try to be the best player you can be. That's one way to do it. You know, and that's an excellent point by Sandy because his consistency both on the ice and then even off it, just being a good teammate. Let's take a look at the scoreboard and what went down tonight on the ice. The Capitals faced off against the Lightning. Washington put up a strong fight, and they do enough to get the win. The Kraken paired up with the Oilers. Edmonton takes this one in a fun one. The Senators took to the road to match up with the Blackhawks. Chicago pile drove their competition with a big-time win. We got a jam-packed show. We've got a lot more stuff we got to get to, so don't even think about going anywhere. Stay with us. Okay, everybody, let's take a quick look at some of the final scores around the league tonight. The Isles were hoping to quiet the crowd on the road against the Lightning. Tampa tore it up on this night, and they easily pick up the win. The Wings were looking to grab points on the road against the Blue Jackets. Detroit pummels the opposition into submission with a big offensive night. Don't even think about touching that dial or touching that button. We've got plenty more on the ice, and that's next. Busy night of action on the ice. Let's take a look at some of the finals that are in from tonight. The Flyers look to run roughshod over the Lightning. Philadelphia takes this one in a tightly contested affair and the bragging rights to go with it. The Oilers were on the road to take on the Stars. Edmonton powers their way through late to come away with the win. The Hawks faced off with the Flames. Calgary tucks home the overtime winner. We got to take a quick break, everybody, but we've got a lot more to get to. Stay with us. All right, lots of wild happenings on the ice tonight. Let's take a look at some of the scores of what went down. The Blue Jackets battled it out against the Capitals. Columbus posts the win with a strong defensive front when it mattered most. The Leafs were in tough with the Wild. Minnesota took this one in overtime on the heels of a great extra frame goal. The Bulls were hoping to grab 2 points up against the Bruins. Boston parties it up in the shootout as they get the extra point in the win. The story on the ice continues in a moment. Let's take a look at the rest of the action on the ice tonight in the National Hockey League. The Kings went toe-to-toe on the road against the Hurricanes. Los Angeles tightens it up when they needed to most late, and they get the win. The Blue Jackets took to the road to match up with the Flames. Calgary posts the win in a game that went back and forth all night. The Maple Leafs were in a dogfight on the road against the Canucks. Vancouver tightened it up late in their own end and did enough to preserve the win. Lots more to get to on the ice. Stay with us, everybody. All right, let's get opponents with a big offensive night. The Oilers took to the ice to battle the Rangers. Edmonton, terrific in overtime, and they get the winner and 2 points to go with it. The Hurricanes had their hands full with the Maple Leafs. Carolina pulls this one out in the extra frame as they get the overtime winner. Hey, we got to take a quick pause for the cause, but we got a lot more on the other side. Don't even think about leaving us. Time to take a look at what happened around the league as we check in on some of the scores. The Flames were in a dogfight on the road up against the Hurricanes. Calgary tested their skills in the shootout, and they passed the test brilliantly. The Caps were on the road to take on the Blues. St. Louis puts on a clinical defensive effort and skate off with the win. We got to take a quick pause for the cause, but we got a lot more coming up on the other side. Stay with us. All right, at this time, let's get you caught up on all the action on the ice tonight. The Blackhawks were hoping to play spoiler against the Golden Knights. Chicago, too much talent to handle in the shootout, and they come away with the win. And a couple more results around the National Hockey League. The Red Wings took to the ice for a collision with the Kings. Detroit puts up a strong defensive front when it mattered most, and they get the win. The Maple Leafs were looking to steal two against the Avalanche. Colorado takes this one in a shootout victory and come away with the 2 points. We are as cool as ice, and we are bringing you many more stories. Now let's take a look at some of the rest of the action tonight in the NHL. The Blackhawks took to the ice to lock up with the Blues. St. Louis played a strong game at both ends of the ice, and as a result, they get the win. There were other games on the ice as well across the National Hockey League. Let's bring you up to date on some of the finals. The Kraken played a game against the Rangers. The New York Rangers tightened it up late when they needed to most, and they pick up the 2 points. The Wild paired up with the Islanders. The New York Islanders toughed this one out, and they get the 2 points. Time for a quick break, but we got a lot more coming up on the ice next. Let's take a look around the league and some of the final scores out there tonight. The Oilers had an on-ice collision with the Lightning. Edmonton tops the opposition in a game that had a little bit of everything on this night. All right, let's take a look at some of the final scores in the league tonight. The Hawks were hoping to take a bite out of the Flyers. Chicago powers through in a tight one. The Bruins took on the Blue Jackets. Boston tosses up a shutout performance with a defensive gem in front of their goaltender. The Red Wings were looking to steal 2 points against the Panthers. Florida posts an impressive win in a tightly contested affair. We'll check the inbox, we'll check the text line, and hear what you have to say next. All right, let's go around the horn and see what happened elsewhere around the NHL tonight. The Panthers had a tall order to fill as they tried to take two on the road